Good morning. We're going to talk about African violets today. I've got a couple here that need some work, so here we are. So African violets are gorgeous, right? And then after their flowers bloom, they get kind of rusty looking. So I cut their flowers off. I've already sprayed my scissors with alcohol, right? Because you always have to do that. Just so that you don't spread things around. You don't know where your scissors has been. So clean up your African violet after she's done blooming. I probably waited too long with this one. I mean, you don't have to wait this long. But just clean her up a little bit. You want to cut as close to the central stem as you can. Take that old flower off of there. Now, the thing about African violets is they don't like to get their leaves wet at all. So this baby here, she was sitting in the greenhouse, right? And because I water my other plants with a hose, she got a little wet right here. So I'm going to take that leaf off too while I'm cleaning her up. I'm not going to throw this away, and I'll show you in a minute why not. So she's got a couple here that have got some damage, so I'm going to take those off. I'm going to put them to the side. I'm not going to throw them away, because once you, that's still a viable leaf, right? I mean, just because she had a problem with some water doesn't mean she's still not alive. So here's my cleaned up African violet. So I say don't get the leaves wet. So how do you water them? Well, this is one way. I just have a pot. Inside a pot, there's a wick that comes down here, and I keep water in here. So you put a little water in your bottom pot, and you put your African violet in there, just like that, and she waters herself from the bottom. I usually don't recommend self-watering containers, but African violets really need it. But what if you don't have that? What are you going to do? So then you have to be real careful so that you don't water your you don't get your leaves wet when you water, and you can gently lift her up in water like that. Now in this solution, this is not just water. This is fish fertilizer, which I use for fertilizing my orchids. So she just got a little bit of fertilizer too, because she's done blooming, she's used up all of her stuff, and now she needs some rest and a little bit of fertilizer, and she'll be fine. Another thing that you can do, this is a African violet pot, which is actually made for African violets. The African violet sits in the top pot. The little cute little matching pot sits on the bottom. This is a porous material, and it absorbs the water that's in the bottom of this pot. That works really well too. I'm going to give her a little bit of fertilizer, gently lift the leaves up, give her a little bit of fertilizer, and she goes back on the shelf and she'll do just fine. Now, the reason that I kept these leaves, right? I kept these leaves. You just saw me cut them off. I'm going to use this African violet pot. I'm going to put that down in here. Then I'm adding, this is vermiculite. You see that? That's vermiculite. I use vermiculite as a soil additive. I use it for a lot of things. But I'm going to fill up the top pot with vermiculite here. The reason I'm using vermiculite is it's very, very water absorbent. So very soon she will pull that water right up in there, and there'll be water, and that's just pure vermiculite. Now I'm going to take those leaves. This is rooting hormone. You don't always have to use it, but I do. So I'm going to dip the African violet in a little bit of water. I'm going to dip this bad leaf in a little bit of rooting hormone. I'm going to take my scissors. This is because I use scissors for so much stuff. This is the reason that I spray alcohol on my scissors. And I'm going to put her down in there just before the leaf itself touches the medium. So I'm going to do that with each one of them. Dip, and then dip in the rooting hormone, and then dip it in here, just like that. I got 2 more to do. Dip in here, dip in rooting hormone, put her in there. So that one's not any good. I'm not going to use that one. This one, I'm going to dip in a little water, dip in a little rooting hormone, and put her in my pot. Now she's going to go on the shelf, and I'm going to wait. And it really depends on the time of year and the weather and how well things do, how long it takes. But what you end up with is this. So my mother over there was on the kitchen sink, and she got a whole bunch of water on her. So I filled this up with vermiculite, filled it up with water, so that this is really very wet, and I keep it really wet. And then I put all the bad leaves in the pot, and look what she's done. She's created a whole bunch of new babies for me. So there you go. That's the thing about African violets. I hope you have a good day. Try it yourself. Now I don't know where my turn off thing is. Have a good day.